With the Honorable Kenneth King presiding, you may be seated and remain quiet.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Back on the record on case 1357921, people of the state of Michigan versus Michael Bashara. People ready to proceed to the next witness?
Yes, we are, Your Honor.
Yeah.
No? Yeah?
You'll put in that one.
Okay.
Thank you. Please step forward and give your name and spelling to the public.
Eileen Stradlak, S-T-R-A-T-E-L-A-K.
And please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you. Ma'am, could you state your name again?
Eileen Stradlak?
Now, during her lifetime, did you know Jane Bashara?
Yes.
And did you know Bob Bashara?
Yes.
See Mr. Bashara sitting anywhere in this courtroom?
He's right there.
Could you indicating for the record the witness has identified the person of the defendant, Mr. Robert Bashara?
So noted.
I'm going to direct your attention to an incident in the fall of 2011 when you saw Mr. Bashara at a restaurant. Could you relate that to the court?
I was at a restaurant called Cedar Gardens with two girlfriends, Bob knowing all three of us, and he walked in the front door and he said he was meeting a tenant. She was she came in the back door.
Okay, so they came in separate doors,
Mm-hmm.
and he said the person he was meeting was a tenant.
Yes.
And did you recognize the person later, who that person was?
Yes. After the reports, I recognized her to be Rachel.
Okay, Rachel Gillette.
Yes.
And did they stay at the restaurant for any period of time after that?
Yes.
Okay. And did Mr. Bashara approach your table as he was leaving?
No, only before.
Only before. And did you notice something unusual about the way they both left the restaurant?
Well, she went out one door, he went the other door.
And did you notice something that happened in the parking lot?
Well, we were by the window, and we looked out, and we can see they met up over in the front.
Now, did you speak to Jane Bashara on January 24th, year 2012?
Yes.
At approximately what time did you speak to her?
11:40, 11:45.
And did you ask her to make plans with you later on in that evening?
Yes.
And did she decline those plans?
Yes.
Did she tell you what she was going to be doing?
Just going home to rest.
Okay. And after the murder, did you speak to Mr. Bashara and indicate to him that you had spoken to Jane on the 24th?
Yes.
Did he ask you any questions about what time you had spoken to her?
No.
Did he ask you about how she seemed?
No.
What was his reaction to you telling him that you had spoken to her on the 24th?
He just was calm and said I was probably the last friend to talk to her.
But he didn't say, well, what specific time did you speak to her at?
No.
He wasn't curious as to where her whereabouts were or anything about the conversation?
No.
You were at the house right after the murder, is that correct?
Correct.
Did Mr. Bashara tell you what he thought had happened to Jane at that point in time?
Someone carjacking or something happened on Jefferson. You know, basically that's all it was. You know, someone could have taken her.
He said somebody could have taken her on Jefferson?
Yeah.
And did he say anything at that point in time about Joseph Gentz?
No.
At some point in time, did Mr. Bashara tell you strike that, let me take that back. Were you following accounts of this story as they developed in the media?
Yes.
And after certain accounts, did you confront Mr. Bashara about the accounts in the media?
Yes.
Tell me about the account you confronted him with.
Well, one particular time, he told me not to believe what's in the media.
He told you not to believe what was in the media, and then what happened?
And I asked him about the report that just came out when Joe pulling out of the garage that day.
Okay. Now let me back you up.
Mm-hmm.
It was an account that Joe was pulling out of the garage.
Yes.
Did the account also say that Mr. Bashara was seen letting him out of the garage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you specifically confronted him with a report in the media that a witness had seen Bob letting Joe out of the garage.
Correct.
What did he say in response to that?
Eileen, I guess I was in the wrong place in the wrong time. I ran into the house. It was 6 o'clock to get some keys and to go to the bathroom. I did see Jane's bag there, but then I was in a hurry and left. And then he said, he goes, maybe Joe was in the garage with her, but nobody left after me.
Okay. So initially, before you confronted him with this story in the media, had he ever said he was at the house on Middlesex during the hours, between the hours of 5 and 8 o'clock?
No.
After you specifically confronted him with an account that someone had said they had seen him there, he adjusted his story?
Yes.
And how did he adjust his story again?
Well, that he had went there at 6 o'clock
To
pick
do
up the
what?
keys, to get the keys.
And he said he had seen Jane's bag was there.
Her bag, yes, and he went to the bathroom.
But he didn't see Jane.
No, he was in a hurry.
So he said he was in a hurry. He didn't seek to see whether she was in the house.
Yes. Yeah, he did say that her car was not in the driveway, so he assumed it was in the garage.
Okay. He never said he went in the garage to check.
No.
And he never said, since he was at home and he had seen his wife's bag, he never said, I went to say hi to her or anything like that.
No.
And he only told you that after he thought someone had seen him there.
Yes.
Now, did you have a conversation specifically about Joe Gentz with him?
Yes.
And what was some of the things he indicated to you about Joe Gentz?
Well, he was saying he associates with losers, and
That who associates with
Bob
losers?
does.
Bob
And-
said that he himself associates with losers.
Yes,
Did
and
he
he-
tell you why he associated with losers?
No, but he was trying to help this guy out, and the guy gave him a job, and then the guy wanted money from him. And so he started, telling about what Joe did, that he had obviously killed his wife, and he must have felt guilty and told a friend of his named Steve. And Steve is the one who told him, you better go tell the police and implicate the husband, then this way you'll only get 10 years in jail.
This is what Bob's account was for why he was being
Yes, that's what he's
blamed.
telling me.
Okay. Now, did Mr. Bashara ever discuss the issue of Joe's competency or incompetency to stand trial?
Yeah, he said that they don't have any DNA, and there was nothing on him, and that they would go by circumstantial evidence.
Did he say anything about whether Joe was going to be found competent or incompetent?
Incompetent.
He said he said Joe was going to be found incompetent,
Yeah.
and he said what would happen as it relates to the case against him if Joe was incompetent.
Well, he said that his lawyer told him that he would probably go to jail.
Okay, sorry, let me
I'm sorry.
take that back. Let me ask you a more focused question. Did he indicate to you that if Joe was found incompetent, they wouldn't have any proof against him?
Yes, I'm sorry.
So as it related to that, Mr. Bashara thought that if Joe was out of the way, there would be no proof.
Yes.
Did Mr. Bashara ever discuss his sex life with Jane with you?
About Jane with me, yes.
Yes. What did he say?
I had asked him about the S&M, and asked him about the black leather, and kind of was disgusted. And he had at that point told me that he does not own any black leather. He is not into that. It's not about the sex. And then he said his relationship with Jane, they didn't have a relationship. And he said 10 years ago he had brought up that they had a family problem where his niece accused him. Oh,
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
need to know that. But did he indicate to you that he and Jane had ceased having relations?
Yes, he said he had an ED problem.
And did there ever come a point in time when he was with you and he started or did a cry, like he was crying?
Yes, but there was no tears.
Okay, and what did he say during this point in time he was crying?
I think that's when he was saying that, he should just end it, and, but nobody would care, he would, kill himself or something like that.
Nothing further, this witness.
Cross-examine?
No questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
Your Honor, we have the stipulation at this point.
Okay?
Your Honor, the parties stipulated to the following. That is, Detroit police officer Lori Briggs was called to testify. She would testify to the following. that she responded to the alley behind 19416 Annette Street in the city of Detroit, county of Wayne, that she observed Mrs. Bashara's body between the front and rear seats of the vehicle. The lower body is on the floor, the upper body and head are on the back seat behind the passenger seat. Mrs. Bashara's face pointed down towards the seat, slightly to the left. On the left side of Mrs. Bashara's face, there's bruising. The complainant Mrs. Bashara has black socks, black pants, a green shirt, and black jacket under her torso, but still wrapped around her arms. In the front passenger seat, Officer Briggs would testify that she observed a purse, which has the contents on the floor next to the purse. Officer Briggs would further testify that she took photographs of the scene, the car, Mrs. Bashara's body, while it was in the car, once it was removed, and again at the medical examiner's office. That she took photographs marked as peoples 3 through 9, and at this time the people would move to admit with the defense stipulation the 7 photographs labeled 3 through 9.
For exam purposes only, we will stipulate.
All right, what we received is,
And one further stipulation as to a photo, People's Exhibit number 20 is a fair and accurate representation of the complainant, Mrs. Bashara. Again,
There's no objection again for exam purposes only.
received.
and as to the identification, parties stipulate that the body of Jane Bashara was transported from the 19416 Annette scene to the office of the Wayne County Medical Examiner, where she was identified as Jane Engelbrett Bashara.
And again, Judge, we have no objection.
So stipulate.
Nothing further.
Received. All right.
Judge, we're just giving you the photos that were the subject matter of the stipulation so you can look at them.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes. Anything further from the people?
Nothing further for the people, Your Honor. I wait for the court's direction as to whether the court would like to review the exhibits or his notes before we make our motion to bind over.
I would like approximately, give me till 2:15.
Your Honor, we will be calling no witnesses, obviously.
Court will be in recess to 2:15.
May I approach?
Yes. Thank you.
Just go on back.
Yeah, Kristen.
Thanks, Mike.
I got it. Sorry.
I have some right here. I'll just kind of. I actually think I might be good because I don't want to overtape. Is it going? I'll take a dab. Thank you so much.
Mandy, how are you doing today? You doing fine, Mandy?
Test 1, 2, I'm doing fine. Friday the 13th.
That's right.
Never look back. You got a job as a statistician for the soccer and field hockey.
I think it's been a while. No, Monday's on work yesterday. And then we have to find out about the But when I asked him, I'm gonna say 5. I'm one of those. I'll think.
She doesn't want to go to big school. She's very good student. She's judging great, but she doesn't test as well. Skyrocket score. One.
I'm going to the Tigers game tonight. We talked about Tigers.
So I can have that
Corporate seats. You
You know what? I want to run I'm standing on their cheap. I'm like, just paid extra $5. I guess I'll go wherever the people are.
I got my own. I call it
Beers, no singing.
my took my medicine because I keep
We couldn't. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I just thought I'd ask you, because I don't feel like you should know. Figured I'd just find out if you guys want to or not, and then if you do, great, if you don't, great too.
This is a long time. Yeah, we just figured that out. Oh, yeah, we're feeling very ill, we just figured out. We're very, thank God Nancy's here. I was wondering trial. No, but right now, I'm already running. Yeah.
Doing a shot of tequila, hey,
I yeah. Thanks for bringing me back home. At least 3 days. That's why
I'll never retire on the courthouse
So when she wanted to know, I got some boxes out there. She wanted to know what it's for. I'm
thinking about the conviction for
well, I said, next hour,
hey.
she can hear me. Even if we put the thing in last year, it would still be. They don't. So that's why I kept on looking at it on Sept.
I mean, I'm comfortable here.
right? Go back to the
I'm very regimented. You know
Yeah.
exactly what's going to happen.
We had a lag truck stop once, and up at channel, at a different channel. I mean, the guy just stole the lag truck, while the time for standing over next to it. And I just know he just did it, he just drove like 10 miles and then stopped and sat there. He just wanted to be arrested. It was winter, so it was fun.
About 15 minutes coming today. Right.
And he just got in, went over to dive bar, sat Our poor photographer anytime is like standing up the side of the boat. Flint is,
They get their fair share of money.
we had the serial stabber.
Oh, that's right.
That was, that was, I broke that, but no. That one was, that was pretty crazy. Well, and the state, our bureau was on Saginaw Street, so we used to call it in Saginaw Street slasher, because
So much could happen on
it's
Saturday.
all right along, right,
Like, are you going out there? I'll come with you.
well, yeah, and it's just going by myself at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I always got to stop with black.
You know what? The first person I interviewed was a white guy. But the cops at first said that, yeah, they just stayed here. I think what it was he was looking, my theory, because he worked at a liquor store. You go into the liquor stores with a lot of the customers treat the and he just like treated the really bad. You know, and I think he was targeting drunks walking through. And in Flint, most of them were after the one guy was.
It was just something else happened.
So,
Sleeping my way.
yeah.
Take care
I
of you.
think he was looking for some carrying a bottle.
Right. You got forever with this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Everything's broken.
Anybody did you?
Yeah, I think there were,
I think two guys.
yeah, I think it was two. I was wondering if it was surgery.
Yeah. But they're opposite. But if you're gonna do it, you gotta do that with it last.
Well, that's right.
You're just sitting in your mud all the time.
Right?
It's really
Right. Yeah. And I'm not saying that. Yeah. They don't.
Too scared?
And then you become
Right.
What other cases are you guys planning that we should be covering?
Lately, this is,
A little all consuming?
I had that one last week, the trooper. My client, he worked at it. Shoot, the other guy went to trial. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, I think I got you.
Which one was it?
I had both the state trooper that was shot, and then the kid that was shot outside of Swansea, you know.
Oh, okay.
But this one, mine times, they were both about something. My guy was smart enough to at least take, yeah, but he has a chance, and he was a shooter. Well, clearly he was a shooter. They had no problem with him. The other guy went to trial. He was a second. He got this time. He got 75, 100.
He's in forever. I thought I loved my body. Put him in some stuff going.
I got a stipulation for us. August 20th. We didn't pay for this. Right. My employer did not pay. And that's not the first one. This is so I'm not going to but I got all of this. So I'm going to this now. I want to do that. But they took it off the trade.
It's not live streamed on the TV stations, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
So
Trial, if I could work it like that.
You know, prosecutor, high school, so you're
That's why you want because he was seeing himself.
She's going to graduate.
Where you born with them? Is that the one? I can read it. Yeah. You know what? You can over and over and over. You can try to imitate it. Love wills out. Indeed.
We're basically working it out for you.
Yeah, let's line up the camera. Let's go with it.
It's only gonna take like a couple days. I'm not gonna sign in. I'm gonna come in and try to get it.
Yeah,
It's only like one. It's or 11. I just gotta stick something like this. And I got one home. I got one.
Who what? That wasn't me. It's been Nancy. Oh, so happy.
If she's there, I'm not. I thought you were going to but she probably so I think when you do a exercise, you mail and say good.
Correct.
Okay, we are back on the record. Case 1357921, People versus Robert Michael Bashara.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Lisa Lindsay on behalf of the people of the state of Michigan. At this juncture, I'd like to move to bind over as charged in the complaint warrant with an amendment.
Your Honor, the defense at this time suggests it's
This is the most basic thing that occurs. I'm going to get over to for the my 50 share and probably courtroom finally learn courtroom antics or behavior, whatever you want to call it. But this court observed Mr. Bashara rubbing his heart, crying tears, even though his eyes were as dry as sandpaper. I even observed later, after the fact, after I gave the admonishment yesterday, of him licking his tongue out when witness Gillette was on the stand. And it wasn't a simple licking of the lips. I mean, he was going to town on his lips with his tongue. The real shame of it all is that, I would submit that Ms. Bashara probably really trusted Mr. Bashara in giving her hand in marriage to him. The husband is supposed to protect. And there's supposed to be trust in the relationship. If these allegations are true, and there's a lot of allegations coming from a lot of different witnesses with a lot of different evidence, most of which we heard dealt with motive. So this court has narrowed down, taking out the motive, because motive is not something that people have to prove. But just looking at the so-called hard evidence, the reasonable inferences and such that can be drawn from the evidence, witnesses like Stephen Tabato and Stephen Vergona and Daryl Bradford and Patrick Webb and Larry Ellington and so forth. Most of those witnesses, or some of those witnesses, aren't the cleanest of which, but when you have dealings with scum, chances are you're pretty much scum too. So it's not a surprise that the people would be left with those kinds of witnesses. But to the people's credit, not only did they produce those witnesses, but they produced evidence to substantiate those witnesses' testimony. The court, after hearing testimony for the last 5 days, hearing testimony about Mr. Bashara's alleged relationship with the admitted killer of Miss Bashara, the number of phone calls, the lowlifes he associated with, false alibis, alleged murder for hire solicitations. It almost sounds like the defendant, if those allegations are to be believed, thought he was mafia or something. It's like watching television or a movie who's putting hits out on people. Not just one person, but multiple people in jail. And watching, I forget what exhibit that was, but they were on the prison grounds and he's walking around with his shirt off. Like he's the man. But in any event, this is way too bizarre. I think that after hearing all of the evidence and the testimony that the court has heard, could probably skip could have skipped the exam and gone right to trial. There's been overwhelming circumstantial evidence and direct evidence by way of the witnesses that was called, the evidence that has been presented to substantiate each of the charges contained in the complaint and warrant, as well as the amended charge or the added charge of felony firearm. The court finds those charges were committed. The court finds there's probable cause to believe this defendant committed them. Defendant will be bound over to Wayne County 3rd Circuit Court, Criminal Division for further proceedings. The arraignment on the information, date, and time will be today is the 13th, approximately the 20th. I believe September 20th, 2013, 9 o'clock a.m. Defendant will be remanded to the custody of the Wayne County Jail. Will the defendant be remaining in the county so that you all can...
Sure of that.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, it's going to be the 20th?
Yes.
Around it? Okay. Thank you.
You added that charge.
I need probably another...
Go to Robert's courtroom and see how you do.
People,